Hello, everyone. It's JoJo Empathic here with another healing message for you guys. So, today I want to talk about healing estrangement with your adult children. This is going to be a really great video that I feel like is going to help a lot of people because we as the collective are feeling this. I don't care if you are the parent that is going through this with estrangement with your adult child, or you're the adult child going through estrangement with your parent. This is a very common issue that we collectively, I feel, should be addressing within our tribes, our family circles, and as a collective in the community. So please like this video, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts. If you have prayer requests specific to this message, please drop the prayer request. I will send healing prayers. You can also email me your prayer request at jojoempathic.com. I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in. A few months ago, on my radio show on News for the Soul Radio, I had a show with Joanne Carvalho from Gateway to the Soul. And I remember specifically we had callers call in for a free reading show. And it was like back to back. Callers were asking questions for spirit about estrangement with their adult children. And something really stuck in my soul from that show. I'm like, this is a huge issue. People write into me all the time, clients, parents, children, adult children, on this matter. It's very serious, it's very common, and I want to address it today. So, no, I do not have children. But here's the thing about being a spiritual healer in a channel. You don't have to know. You don't have to go through the walk to know. I read complete strangers that are all the way across the world with accuracy. Why? Because I'm a conduit. So if you've been following my channel, I talk about psychic mediums being the real pastors, the real ministers of the earth. We're the true conduits. And so not every psychic medium takes on that role of light work or channeling for healing. But if we are, and if you are, it's very holy work. And the best way to go about it is actually to know nothing, to release all bias, to not judge. You can't judge. You can't come in with bias because the light, where I'm getting a lot of the higher information from, will cut you off. Okay? So I don't need to know. It flows through me, the higher truth. That's what I tune into. So I'm going to share with you channeled messages for healing, as well as from my experience reading several different people from different backgrounds, different demographics, from mothers to fathers, different races, different religions, different areas in the world, cultures that people are evolved in, as well as the different dynamics. I get a ton of adult children writing in about the pain that they're going through with estrangement with their folks, and a ton of parents writing in wanting timeline. When am I ever going to hear from my child again? I haven't heard from my son in 3 years and it's killing me. Okay, so here's the perspective that I have gathered. We have a serious crisis here. And I don't want to make this video blaming who's wrong, who's right. This is not what this video is about. And I want to bring compassion because I see this as a serious, serious pain for both parents and children. When I say children, I mean adult child, okay? Adults who are estranged from their folks. A deep pain. So I want to bring a perspective that's all encompassing, okay? And from a compassionate lens by not blaming, but maybe expanding your awareness and your consciousness so that you can move forward with peace and you can have your family back if free will allows. Okay. That's my prayer for everyone watching this video. If you're led here, my prayer for you is healing, is reconciliation, is rejuvenation within your family or tribe, because it's so important. We are not a species, regardless of where you come from on this planet, that is born alone. We're born from two. And whatever happens to the parents after that is out of our control, you could say, but we come from two. And when a baby's born, you cannot leave that baby alone or it will not survive. So biologically, I'm here to say, I think that we are here for connection. think we are here to love as the highest calling, highest purpose, to forgive as a higher purpose and higher calling. Huge lesson that's very hard. I think we're here to cooperate in diversity. I think we're here to gather together and share and have communion together personally. If we look at our biology as a species, we're in a crisis right now. Statistics are saying we're the most lonely that we've been by research. We are feeling isolated. We're feeling alone. And there's all of these different movements of empowerment that are, I wouldn't say almost like a guise of false empowerment to just be independent ladies and, dominate and, F everybody and cut people off and extract. And that can work. But then women are extremely lonely. Okay. And then we have men who naturally do have this drive to, want to go out and chase and gather and provide and contain. And we're seeing men pull back from that. They don't want to do that anymore. I'm seeing more and more men, they tell me, I don't want to have kids. I don't want the family. I don't ever want to be married again. I don't want to love again. I see this as a guise or a mask because deep down, that connection, desire is there. When people put these masks on, I'm a psychic medium, I can read right through it. You can read the energy field, the heart, the mind. We want each other deep down. We want to be able to be with one another and love one another and enjoy life together with the people we love and care about. No matter how many masks we put on, fundamentally, we want love. It drives us as humans. What is not okay is our inability to work through problems effectively. That's a problem. We have to address that as a collective if we're ever going to come together. So I'm going to help today in this video go through some perspectives that may help you expand your consciousness and awareness to why you might be estranged with your adult children and how to fix it, how to heal it and move forward. And if you're listening from the perspective of an adult child who is estranged from your parents, here's some tips too in this video that may help you expand your consciousness and awareness so that you may have that togetherness once again. First, I want to say the number one thing that I'm finding is the root cause of estrangement within family is mindset. I don't think it's circumstances, mindset. If you are estranged from your family and it's killing you, it's like eating you alive, you don't like it, you want togetherness but don't know how, mindset. So let's talk about the generations here, not pointing fingers, but we need to be aware of the mindsets that have been programmed and tainted through socialization that have led to where we are today. Because ultimately, when we look at a home, some may feel there's a hierarchy, right? The elders, the older folks, the younger gens, okay? Reality is that at the top of that pyramid in the family is a leader, regardless of their age. But cultural backgrounds and religious backgrounds say otherwise. I'm not here to say that's right or wrong. I'm here to open your awareness to potentially what's going on, okay? We have the silent generation from 1928 to 45. Keyword, the silent generation. We start there, okay? So we're descendants of that generation that have that title of being silenced. Zip your lips. This generation had a big theme about respecting authority and being frugal and just submitting to authority. and that hierarchy I was just talking about. Respect for the elders, respect for authority. This is the way it is. They went through the Great Depression, so there was a lot of scarcity mindset instilled. I remember my great grandfather who went through the Great Depression would hide money underneath his bed, and I would crawl underneath there, and there'd be a little safe box, and I would, try to get in there as a kid. So that was very common for people in that generation. And if you were in that generation, and you're here, you may say, yes, that's very true. Um, but I want you to think about if we're trying to change our mindsets in terms of healing and reconciliation with our family. Whenever someone is being silenced, it's very unhealthy. It borders toxicity. Um, I have a teacher that always said, you're here to be the mouthpiece of God, right? As a medical intuitive, speaking your truth is actually healing. Repressing your truth will block your throat chakra. You'll have all types of disorders and disease that stem from that blocked energy center. This is a huge energy center that was affected by this generation of silencing people, silencing those younger than us, silencing those that come from us, okay? Our kids, our grandkids. And it has done a lot of damage. It is not the healthiest, highest consciousness form of thought to just silence people and demand respect. It doesn't work. It's dismissive. It's avoidant. And as we go through the generations, we're going to take a look at the shift of mindset and why younger generations don't mesh well with that generation, being as though we in the younger generation love freedom of speech. There's only a generation before us that really, or two, that fought for freedom of speech. And we get into the next generation where the baby boomers were part of the civil rights movement. Okay. So this is the generation born in 1946 to 64. So this is post World War II. Okay. The boomers right now are in a complete crisis with the millennials. Complete crisis. They don't get along at all. Complete disconnect. This culture was highly programmed to align with consumerism, consumer culture. Okay. Um, a lot of times the boomers, not pointing fingers, like to their love language is gifts, right? If I take care of you, if I give you gifts, you owe me. This is a mindset that really does not mesh well with the millennials, who a lot of the millennials won't make this too woo-woo, are star seeds who will claim they're not from this planet. They remember being from a higher place. They remember higher love, higher light, love and healing. This generation, kind of like the hippies, you'll see so many of these souls incarnating through the millennials and the following generation Z too, where we know that money can't buy love. We know that gifts can't buy love. And we are shifting the whole consumer market digitally and in terms of diversity, in terms of handing that microphone to women, people of color, the disabled, minorities, getting everyone involved in fair marketing, okay? Which we've had to fight for and was not there in the 40s to the 60s, that equality and consumerism. So there's that real unhealthy programming coming from consumerism alone, and it affects the hierarchy within the home. You also had Vietnam, and so those two generations were struck by war, which has provoked a lot of fear-based mindsets and scarcity-based mindsets in those generations that is not meshing well with the millennials. Okay. Then we have Gen X, 65 to 80, and this is a huge transition period on Earth with globalization and technology. Okay. This generation, from what I've seen, it's coming from boomers. A lot of people in Gen X had faced a lot of emotional or physical or mental abuse from their boomer parents or the silent gens. I have seen this, and it seems like very um, deep to where there is a collective issue with Gen X in not taking on positive ownership of their children. It's more of just ownership, and you have it better than me. You're fortunate. You're so much more luckier than me. You have it so much better. And although that may be true, fortunately for the younger generations, thankfully, right? Because the children that Gen X is having did not have to go through what boomers had to go through, what Gen X had to go through, and the silent gen, right? At all. And the younger generations should be more fortunate. We'll address the issues of this generation to come here soon. I think gratitude and respect is one that we struggle with, my gen, for those that walked before us. Okay. Now I'm a medium, so I'm all about ancestors. I'm also someone that would in this gen, millennial gen, where I'm like, I actually really respect and have respected my elders, the older folks on both sides of my family. I was always very close with. They're not here anymore, a lot of them, but they understood and believed, that I highly loved them and respected them. It was very mutual. So that's just me being an old soul, but I do notice in millennials, a lot of people are not like that. So Gen X has a deep emotional disconnect and empathy and lacking the positive ownership. I own you as my child. You own me now. And that's not working well with the younger gens. I'm going to help everybody to come and coexist here in a second. Again, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm helping us to see a bigger picture of where some of these root issues may have developed. Okay. Programs from society, all of the advertisement, marketing that's been put in our faces in the digital era. Okay. The Rockefellers came in to America. They hijacked all the herbal schools, right? All the apothecaries, and they closed them down. They got their hands on the education system. So I'm showing like the programs that have been embedded in the mindset leading to the physical reality. So the subconscious mind, if you weren't aware, is what actually dictates your reality. This is why hypnotherapy is so effective with rewiring the brain. It works with your brain state and how your brain actually learns and adapts. Okay. Hypnosis does. That's how we change our minds is repetition, our belief systems that we're holding, our inner dialogue, how we're speaking outward. We change it through our own free will, and over again, it begins to stick. And then we have a different habit, and then we have a different reality. Okay. Millennials and Gen Y, this is 81 to 96. I'm in this generation, and I have a disconnect with people. I want to say, so I feel like I'm comfortable enough to point fingers because I'm in this generation. I find the hardest people to get through to are people about 10 years older than me. So within this generation, people born in the 80s, I've found it extremely difficult to work with the mindsets of people that were born in the 80s. Okay, so I'm a 90s baby. I feel like I'm not pointing fingers. I'm saying this generation where I'm in is a problem. We have an issue. Um, it's almost like entitlement. Like I'm from the generation where we're like really spoiled. I had so much more as a kid than my parents had. And like my mom and dad never had like video nows. I remember that was a thing back in the day. Like I'm sure they probably had Walkmans and like cassette tapes, but like we had iPods, MacBooks. I mean, I'm this millennial generation is like super spoiled. We have everything at our fingertips. The food market changed. My parents always had homemade food. I grew up on homemade food too. Once you get more into like the 2000s, like people like homemade food, like what is that? DoorDash, order out and fast food. Um, so I'm from a very spoiled generation that seems to have an issue with appreciation for all of the abundance at our fingertips. I mean, it's like this generation is really the gen that's like we think it and it becomes it, and we have like literally every resource at our fingertips to make it happen, from education to technology to networking. I mean, we have it in the grip of our hands. And I think sometimes when you grow up in this, like Gen Z is like even worse, I would say. You almost like forget what it's like to play outside. Okay. You almost forget what it's like to make your own food. You almost forget what it's like to um, not be bombarded with like images at your fingertips every morning, right when you wake up to the last moment of your day on your cell phone. Um, and we feel entitled to it. Okay. And with this generation, we've made such headways in development and globalization that's like never been seen before. So we think that we know it all. And I'm in the generation where we're tired of like fakeness or masking. Okay. So that's a good thing about millennials is we're very authentic. We strive for authenticity. And if we get into Gen Zs, this is 97 to 2012. We're in the generations, these two gens, millennials and Gen Z, we look to the parents and say they went to school for all this time and it like they're still miserable. They're still living paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't work. As we see the education system being dismantled and reconfiguring, right? From preschool all the way to university and post grad and grad schools. It's all changing. So these younger gens are saying, I'm not going to invest my money into this just because the machine tells me to do it. I'm not going to go clock in every day because the machine wants my money, my soul, and my mind. I'm not going to go do that. Okay. And this, I feel, is a very, very positive mindset to have. Our planet needs it and it's wise, but it's not respected by the boomers or Gen X. They feel threatened. They feel threatened by the truth. And the fear from the silent gens and the baby boomers on Gen X has a grip on the mind. Meaning, with faith, one could see that's the truth. Okay. I still went to school for 4 years for a bachelor's degree and I still clock in every day and I'm still miserable. And my child doesn't want to do that. I can't blame them. If we have faith, we would encourage them on this path. What I see, this is not pointing fingers, is that a lot of these gen that are in between and they're having trouble with the transitions on Earth, they will still push their children to do something that they know has hurt them in a sense because it's societally accepted. I'm sorry. School's a big one. Um, Here's a food for thought. What if we taught young people in high school how to become investors? What if we taught them what actually works? If any young person were to ask me, what should I do before, when I grow up? Learn how to become an investor first. So you can have passive income and you can just not work and work if you want. Okay. Number two, we might tell young people become an entrepreneur with that. But being an entrepreneur can be very, very challenging. Okay. And then we might say there's a smaller group of people that may actually want to do specialized education or trade. Not saying don't educate yourself. I think education and knowledge is power. But what this video is going to help you to do is to really see the chains on the mind, the societal programming that's more of an illusion than actual truth. And so that's the disconnect here between these generations. Illusion versus truth, acceptance versus dismissing and avoiding. These are root causes of estrangement. So I wanted to start there. I have some notes I want to follow to why adult children go no contact and how to heal. Okay. I went over that the number one thing is mindset, socializations, programs, and generational programming. Okay. So, one of the deepest griefs that I see for adults is this disconnect with parents. And I'm reading people in their 70s, 80s, 60s, and we're finding the root cause of what's going on, from money issues to issues with the relationships and love to frustrations and anxiety. It's coming down to like mother-father wounds in their later years of life. This is extremely important that this message gets through to a lot of people. If just one, I feel happy. Okay. It's a problem. Like, we need parents. We need elders. We need the tribe. In a tribe, everybody has an important role and we all support one another. And that's fallen through colonization. Now it's, I'm the leader. I'm in charge. Respect me. Bow down. You owe me. And that doesn't work with all people or all mindsets or generations. It's causing a rift. The ego. The ego is causing a rift and divide between people within the home. So I see a lot of mothers and fathers carrying shame and confusion and anger and heartbreak and exhaustion. And I also understand the pain from the adult children perspective of feeling undersupported, silenced, abandoned, forgotten, frustrated, angry. Okay. So when we look at it that way, we can see that, emotional validation and emotions and emotional intelligence is a root cause of estrangement. I also mentioned not only mindset, but positive ownership is something we need to start embodying as a culture and society. Positive ownership is, I take you on as my own, meaning I love you like I would love me. I will take care of you like I will take care of me and ask for nothing in return. Some people can't do that. And if you can't do that, then you might be facing a life of estrangement until the last of your days. If we look at just human nature, we have to remember unconditional love and empathy if we're trying to rebuild relationships, meaning I take you on as my own. So what's a problem here? We can't even go further, is people don't love themselves. People don't take good care of themselves. Okay. If you're in a position of leadership and you don't love you and you don't take care of you, you're not the leader. You may not even need to have a lot of money, but if you don't have love and self-regard for yourself, you are not going to lead your tribe into love and self-regard. The relationships are going to be broken. There's going to be chaos. The leader needs to embody love for self. And I see that this is where a lot of the crisis is. There's a lot of people trying to be in this position of leadership and they just don't love themselves. They're confused. They're not conscious. And they want to lead. And they want respect. And the millennials are not in the silent generation. They're like, time out. You're leading me off a cliff. And a lot of the older generation says, I don't care. I took care of you from day one. I don't want to hear it. We have to let this go and transcend the mind and the ego. It doesn't work. This is what keeps people on what we would call a generational curse or a generational cycle. I have to get some new headphones. Bear with me. These are new and I don't like them. The widespread issue of family suffering. We have to take it for what it is. If we're in a position of leading and we cannot lead ourselves, we're emotionally codependent. We are depressed. We don't love ourselves. We don't like what we do for a living. How are you going to lead others? So if you have a tribe, you have to have somebody like lead. You have to have somebody be the conduit. This is why the elders are the seers usually. They're the visionaries. They're the medium of the family. Okay. You go to the elders and they're able to channel the wisdom you need. They're able to channel the healing you need. Where is that? Drop a comment if your family's like that. So in my family, my grandmother held a very high matriarchal position like that. She's no longer here. And what I want to also bring through to people is that so a lot of us can relate to that message I just shared, right? A lot of our grandparents and great grandparents are now gone. They were, in a sense, respected by us younger gens. We could go to them for love and wisdom, right? What's happened is that, I hate to say it, but that graduation into elder never is not happening anymore. It stops. I'm seeing this collectively. We're not appreciative of the medium anymore. We're not appreciative of the conduit anymore. The wise one, the old sage. There's a graduation there. It's not just handed. That person that's graduated into the old sage has given love and respect to the point of where they're receiving it now back. And so I see that, and I'm just being honest, there's this generation or two where they're in between becoming the old sage and they just demand the respect, they just demand to lead, and they're not quite conscious. They're pushing what they know versus expanding their mind and evolving. And it's not working for the younger generations that don't want to follow that mindset, don't find that attractive, and actually feel repulsed by that closed-mindedness. So we start there. Someone's got to take leadership. Someone's got to take positive ownership. Okay, let's look at some statistics and research from Cornell University found that approximately 27% of Americans are estranged from at least one family member. Studies estimate around 10% of Americans are estranged specifically from a parent or child. And newer polls suggest that family estrangement may now affect over 1/3 of adults. Research shows father-child estrangement is more common than mother-child estrangement. Okay, many estrangements last years, but studies also suggest many eventually reconcile. So if this is happening to you and your family, you're not alone. It's not just your burden, okay? So this is a collective breakdown in intergenerational healing, to be honest. It's a collective issue. So let's see some research and spiritual perspective of why does this happen? So research shows that estrangement usually develops over years, not just one incident. And the common causes are unresolved childhood wounds, Emotional invalidation, I've already touched on this, that a lot of the older generations are emotionally not present. Controlling parents, addictive or mental illness, boundary violations. This one, boundary violations. You're my child. If mail's coming to my house, I'm going to open your mail. Boundary violations. We do not have respect for one another. We demand respect from ego, and that is killing our families. There is no, there's what we have to remember in parenthood or going into parenthood is that it's a duty that never ends. Okay? If you don't want to take on the duty for the rest of your life, don't do it. If you don't want to give unconditional love over and over and over again, don't do it. Our society is becoming weak because of it, because of parental wounds. It's becoming dismantled because of emotional immaturity wounds, from lack of support for one another, lack of connection with one another. Boundaries are huge. And we see extreme stories on the news of where boundaries and being disrespected turn into neglect. We see these on the news, and those people usually get caught and face legal. I mean, boundaries being crossed and violations is like a huge spiritual violation to people. The trust is over. It doesn't matter how much money you've spent on your child. It doesn't matter how much you showed up for them. It doesn't matter what you've done for them. If you are consistently overstepping boundaries, there's going to be an issue with your child, adult child or not. Criticism or shame, huge one. We carry shame in the second chakra, the sacral chakra, affecting the reproductive system, those organs, and relationships. This is also your money chakra. So in medical intuition, they're interconnected. You have a money block, well, you might have a relationship block simultaneously. Simultaneously, you might also have, additionally, creativity block, a sensuality block. I'm not going to get into how sensuality and sexuality is attacked in this culture to the point of where we don't even want to mate anymore, okay, which is a crisis. Not good for the body, not good for us as a species, not good for relationships. I mean, shame will hold you back in your life. And this is also the same energy center where writer's block exists. So if you can't really get things done, you're procrastinating a lot, shame. Where are you holding shame in your body? How are you holding it? Where did it come from? And how much is it manipulating your mind? Okay, so a lot of people that are in positions of leadership, parents, guardians, have been found guilty of like really shaming their children, really being very shameful parents. You were supposed to get all A's and you didn't, so and then name calling, you're dumb, or putting this heaviness on, you have to be something in order for me to love you, and then simultaneously wanting respect. The human consciousness doesn't respect those that shame them. It forms deep psychological wounds that carry on throughout people's lives and hold them back from life's progression and success in every way. It'll zip people up. And that's where the silent generation has really infected us with neglect, is silencing us and causing us to hold on to shame. And then people never succeed in life. They never get out of their small hometown. They never do anything bigger than what they're told to do. because they don't believe in themselves anymore. We have to lift each other up, especially if you have children. You need to lift them up. You need to support them. Give them that hand so they can go higher in a world that was not like when you grew up, where rent was 300 bucks, 500 bucks a month. Rent in today's world is $2,000 for something small. 1,500 bucks. Okay? People need to be empowered so they can go out there and take care of themselves in this today's world, which is extremely expensive, which is very different than how our parents grew up. Okay? And so when I'm dealing or working with people, I'm like, this person cannot be empowered because they're just like, they're burdened by shame. They don't believe in themselves. A lot of times, these older generations have felt so threatened by confidence in their kids, leadership that they don't possess, and so have shamed their own, leading to imbalances with so many other things, and people are held back. So we have to stop shaming one another, okay? And accepting of authenticity is goes hand in hand. And stopping with all the criticism. There are certain socioeconomic classes where this is more intense, more in the higher socioeconomic classes, where there's a lot of pressure and criticism for their children to be a certain way, act a certain way, and to perform in certain settings. Okay. I want to go to school to be a nurse, because that's the right thing to do. I want to grow up and be, a basketball player because that's where society will praise me. I mean, and you see this over and over again. You have a whole diverse group of kids and they're all wanting to go to school for the same thing. I mean, it's just insane. That thought was put there on their minds. There's so much more than just four fields of work. Okay. There's so much more. Okay. So help children, young people to think authentically. You put your fear away and say, well, the systems aren't really working. Maybe school's the best thing for me to get $100,000 into debt to go clock in every day. What are their unique skills, passions, and talents? How can they make the world different? How can they make the world better through those? That's really, really effective parenting that gets respect because the younger person says, hey, this person sees me, hears me, and loves me for who I am. I don't have to change anything. I just can be me. Okay. So unconditional love. Political value indifferences. This is a shame. This one is a shame. I don't like to say that word because I see how much shame like hurts people. I don't like to say like you should be ashamed of yourself. I try to stop myself. That's my own programming. I try to like that's old me growing up in like Catholicism. Okay. It's a very shaming religion if you didn't know. It's disappointing and it's disgusting how political differences are separating people. And I'll say it like this, but it needs to. Because, I mean, what we're in right now is not politics. And that's not clear to people. It's not clear to people that this isn't politics, what's happening. This isn't no stupid red, blue bullshit. I'm sorry. This is pure racism. This is pure authoritarianism. This is pure hatred. It's a dictatorship all around the world. Infringement of rights, human rights, decency. Okay. So there is a movement, a revolution happening right now that we can't dismiss. And you have to understand in the older generation that some young folks have come here, they feel in their soul, they've incarnated here to help with the revolution. And they won't be silenced, they'll fight up against it. And so if you are going to take a stand with evil, you were bamboozled by darkness. You didn't see it coming. You said, oh, what the heck's going on here? How many other things have you led your children into? That's the question. And you're choosing to stand and sit and play in these areas where our human rights and civil rights are being completely destroyed. And you want to bring and yank your kid and say, oh, this is holidays, come sit and have fun. What's wrong with you? How do you find that acceptable? I'm sorry. And then you'll cry to all these people that your kid doesn't want to be around, and they will coddle it because they think the same as you. Half the time, those types that were bamboozled have jealousy issues, have ego issues, hatred for races, hatred for certain sexes, and who people marry. I mean, they have deep, deep, deep seated issues and will go to bat for you who loves them. So your opposer, your child that's been standing up and saying, I see you through all this and I'm not playing it, will not be respected by who you're getting advice from. Okay. They're going to say you're doing the right thing. They should respect you. They should be here. The same people that violate boundaries over and over again and have led us here into this point of $5 for regular gas. Here we go. Germany's building hospitals right now and ambulances for war, preparing for war. I mean, is that not serious? How much more serious does this need to get for people to wake up? But the kids that have stood up to this have been the right ones. They're the leaders. And you have to set boundaries with people. You cannot bring MAGA in to your mixed race family. I mean, we don't want to be around that, right? You can't bring MAGA. You can't ask your kids to want to go be a part of it or your grandkids to show up for Christmas when you're there with your red hat on. It's offensive. The acts of warfare right now on the planet, where's hell? Here. It's cranked. So this one to me is pretty sickening. If you can't tell how sickened I am at that families have really divided over this. Come on, please. It's one thing to have political views. This is so different, okay? Just a little bit more and we'll see. Just a little bit more for us here in America. We'll see. And around the world. Generational trauma. We get really stuck here because a lot of these older generations are so disempowered because of the church saying wait on Jesus that we forget we have free will and that we need to do something. We need to change ourselves. It's an inner work. Nobody's coming to save us. So some kick the bucket without ever addressing their childhood wounds or generational wounds. We can't change these people. Don't let that be you. It's like I'm reading people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and there's not real emotional intelligence in there. There, there's not much awareness at all. People are burnt out. They've been through so much abuse, these older generations. They've been through so much neglect that they're tapped out. And that's sad. And if that's you, you need to seek help. Therapy, trauma therapy, audiobooks. I mean, there's so much help out there these days to help you get through the trauma so that way you're not in your 50s and you have the emotional intelligence of you at 15. This is big for men. This is huge for men. See, life is like you have to ride your own horse. You have to get your own reins to be on your own horse, and you have to think for yourself. And you have to understand that the more you think for yourself, the more conscious you become, the more empowered you become. the greater manifester you become, the better healer you become, the better you take the reins on your own life. You don't need the machines anymore. That's why the attack's there. See it. See it for what it is. We love to say, I'm woke. I'm like, I'm so tired of that because I'm like, well, read me. They can't. You're not woke. You're not plugged into your mind's eye. This is where God is, the goddess is. Here. You don't need anyone outside of you. You don't need a psychic. You don't need a medium. You don't need a healer. It's within. It's where God is. And so the church has done a great job at we're looking up. Say, oh, the higher. So the higher is here. So the more psychic you are, the more psychic power you have, the more you are able to think for yourself, do for yourself, and you stay on track with your soul's purpose, which leads to you making your monetary gains from that. Okay. So medical system is affected by that. The financial system is affected by it. Everything is the markets. And that's why there's so much pressure to try to make people like me seem like demonic and a witch and whatever else you can silence. So heal your generational trauma or it's passed down. Now we can look into biological studies that show that the emotions of a pregnant mother affect the cells of their fetus, their growing baby within them. Okay, so a lot of the emotional baggage we as children take on from parents, and that needs to be addressed. It needs to be transmuted, is the way to heal that. If you don't know what that is, it's time you start looking into the laws of the universe and using alchemy. That's what the universe supports, universe being God, spirit. We transmute negativity. We don't suppress, avoid, or disown. So I'm a dominant woman. When I go into a man's world, I'm not going to, you know, quiet. No. And so a lot of parents will say, that's what's wrong with you. You're dominant. You know, it's like, hide it. Don't be it. Can anyone relate? Drop a comment. You know, were you ever told by someone older than you to not be you? I had someone tell me it must be hard to be you. So why be you? It says, I'm going to give you a few years to think about it because I don't want to be influenced because that's ridiculous. And how sad must their lives be that they won't be them? Well, then who are they? Who knows? At that point, once you give up your free will, who knows who's hijacking the meat suit? Who knows? Aside from just like unresolved parts of yourself, I mean, it can be other spirits too. So you want to have complete control of your being. And that comes with parts integration, inability to apologize and forgive. That's big. We get confused in our culture between forgiveness and apologizing and boundaries. Okay. Actions speak louder than words. So you can say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, over and over again, and things aren't changing. You're not really sorry. So it's an action. And the truth and the higher truth about forgiveness is we can forgive without that person ever being around. And sometimes it's best to forgive and set a boundary. And that's love for self first. We have this mindset that blood is thicker than water. The church instilled that. Blood is thicker than water. So if this person is abusing you, neglecting you, being mean to you, shaming you, doing whatever else, saying sorry, nothing's ever changing, stay. These are the leading causes of cancers. Headaches, digestive system imbalances, heart imbalances. I mean, that energy that you put on yourself from that disconnect and lack of congruency is so toxic for the body. It's like bad. It's very bad for the body. And some people, they just, they can't do it. They can't stand it. And that's the right thing to do. The universe will support people for walking away, not staying. The universe will stop supporting you. If you stay in that toxic family dynamic, you will lose the support of the universe. You need to love you. You need to protect yourself. You need to not lower yourself to fit in for acceptance, regardless of who it is, if it's blood or not. Okay? Defensiveness. A lot of older generations feel very threatened by the younger generations who are killing it out here. Killing it. Someone's got to. Someone's got to. Okay? So the jealousy that I see between sometimes the older gens and the younger is just, it's ego. You raised this person. Pat yourself on the back, even if they do better than you. You still helped. Well, they don't give me any credit. I'm hearing the parents say on the phone when they're calling in, they don't give me any credit for everything I ever did for them. Well, you know what? You signed on. It's the duty to take them on. Let that go. If you have a need of, what is that? A need of you have to get your needs met. So what is that? A need for credit is a need for validation. You need to seek it, perhaps from another source. If it's not from them, get it from within. I helped them get there. They know that because of me, and that should be enough. Otherwise, you're bordering not real unconditional love. So you have to get your needs met, but you don't need to be threatened and defensive, okay? And if there are young people here, a lot of the young people are very defensive and feel like they have to walk on eggshells around their folks. That might not be an environment you want to put yourself in all the time. Remove yourself. If you have an issue with defensiveness, is it you? Are you self-conscious? Are you just insecure? And so somebody's trying to teach you something, someone's trying to help you, and you can't hear it because of your own ego. What is it? I don't care what end of the spectrum you're on. If you don't have an ego death, you can't put your ego to the side. You can't set boundaries with yourself and others. You're not going to have functional relationships. You're going to have you could have a ton of relationships. Say, I've got tons of relationships. It's just with my child. They're all probably toxic and unhealthy. Like attracts like. So don't base it on that. Don't base it on that. You'll have whole groups of toxic people together, and then you step in. You don't even want to show up because you can just feel the vibe of what that party's going to be like. I'm good. And there, everybody's having a blast. So, maybe if you are in a situation like this, start getting around people that are different than you with a different perspective. Grow. Allow yourself to evolve. If a relationship has no growth and evolution, it will never work. Okay? Big one. Spouses influencing separation. This is huge. And the church is behind this one too. So a lot of Americans and people across the world, but especially in Christian America, have a belief that you need to put your spouse between your kid. I'm not here to say it's right or wrong. I'm not. I'm here to show you another perspective. When I go into dating a guy, that's something I bring up. Are we going to put our kids first or each other? Trick question in JoJo's world. Because to me, he better say those kids. Because I'm going to go into a divine union. I'm whole, complete, and independent without him. So coming together with my spouse is bonus, right? I'm union with me. I'm independent, not isolated. And going into a union is two whole people coming together as one. That we don't see. We don't see that very often. We see getting married for emotional needs, financial needs, social satisfaction, church says it's the right way. I mean, all of these things that are just very unauthentic to individuality and independence. And so relationships today are very codependent emotionally, and that's very damaging. And so I know that, and a lot of women tend to, ladies, I'm going to help you out here. If you aren't fighting the revolution right now for women's rights and minorities and what's happening with the revolution, immigrants, you're just quiet, and you're feeding the toxic patriarchal system that's failing and being dismantled right now. You're part of it. A lot of women like to be rescuers. They want to rescue their man. They want to fix him. It makes them feel good, right? They never got that emotional validation anywhere else. It's getting them a need met to make them feel seen and need. They're helpers. They just want to help everybody. They just want to give and take care of everybody and caretake. And then you look at them and they don't take care of themselves. So a lot of women will choose their spouse over their kids, and the kid feels it. So you're telling me the church and God and Jesus is saying to choose date night over your child who's sick at home. The Holy Spirit put it upon me. It's just I'm gonna put my husband first, and he wants to go out. So the kid's throwing up and breaking out in hives, and we're just gonna go, let it, be with the babysitter so we can do it. Put that kid first. We coddle babies. It's the only time in our human lives, okay? It's the only time it's acceptable. Cater to the child. Cater to the baby. Give it what it wants. Give it what it needs. Program its mind by 7 years old to be empowered. Put that child first. It needs you. It's the duty of a parent. As you take on a child before yourself, when you have a baby, you can't just let it sit there and cry. You can't. There's been boomers, the silent gen, they were exposed to commercials and ads that would say to let your baby cry it out as the healthy way, scientifically. And it's done an immense amount of damage, and here these babies are estranged from their adult children now. So something that's really unorthodox, it might really put you in a spinner, is think about like putting your child before yourself. And that doesn't mean like adult child, right? Because an adult can take care of themselves. And if the adult child's gonna like overstep your boundaries, then you need to pull back, right? You do. You do, as hard as that is for a lot of parents. It's like you have to set boundaries. But choosing, ladies, the man that's toxic to you over your kid, they're gonna feel that. Excuse me, especially daughters. Like, why is my mom always just like so in love with my dad and not me? She talks so bad about this guy. Why is she always like in his direction and not mine? Why you're estranged from your kids, okay? Ladies, you've chosen toxic, abusive partners over your own. So we have spouses influencing separation. They also will see a lot of times women influenced by their partner in parenting and putting this child to the side. The single mother, she's got 5 kids. She finally meets the guy of her dreams, and he's a real a-hole to her kids, but she feels attraction. She gets the attraction she never had. She feels the support she never had. And he's like, well, send the kids off to boarding school so we don't have to deal with them. She's like, okay. This is why we need to push for more empowerment of young people, more independence, authenticity, and becoming whole before you get married. Maybe later in life. I'm not a big believer of government marriage. The guys I date know that. Like, when I go on dates with men, I'm not ever going to a courthouse to marry. Doesn't work. Union before God does, I believe. But a lot of times the marriages
will happen, the second or third marriages, and it really negatively affects the children. The parenting, the focus of the parent on the person versus the children is detrimental. And um, I keep talking about women. I mean, this influence is like, well, because let's be honest about like mother in a home, right? She's all that. Mother in the home is all that in a bag of chips. So, she has a huge influence on her kids. And the masculine often in today's world is unhealthy and unhealed and toxic. And so that influences her, and her children are watching. Okay. So as far as men, I've seen some cases where he's got several women wives and they're at war with one another. That influences his children. He's not able to, he just rushed into a marriage. He doesn't really love her. And so he never wants to be home. That influences his children. Um, it's a big one, your partner that you choose to have a child with. I want to add on to this that there's always hope after divorce. Like, and if you are a widow, like I've read for several, and their loved ones on the other side want them to move on over and over and over again. I read people, spirits all the time like this. Like, movement is law, okay? All things grow and evolve. Like, you have to keep going. There's more than one fish in the sea. Don't close yourself off because of your own unresolved needs not being met, or your own unmet emotional needs not being met, because it will put a rift between you and your adult children. Okay, how you view yourself, your children are watching. Let's move on here. You have to also be aware of what's been inherited to you that doesn't work, and make a change yourself. Like, we're in a big narcissistic society, and we're in a very addicted society. Okay, that makes us very vulnerable. And you have to understand that your parents may have never taught this, and you may have not taught this to your kids, but the time is now, not too late. You must learn emotional regulation, affection. I've given hugs to people before and they flinch. They can't receive love. A lot of men, they can't receive love. Intimacy issues. You need to work this out. You need to evolve it. I was just talking to someone about like PTSD, how I don't like it. Like to say, oh, I have PTSD. You'll never hear me say that. Not to discredit it, and that it's not real. I'm not saying that, but I'm just very mindful of what I speak that I have, or that I am. You have to know that you can heal things. You can heal. Okay. A lot of people were never taught how to repair issues, problem solve. A lot of people were never taught accountability. And that's because they were raised in survival mode, and that is passed on. So, from a soul perspective, is that if you're struggling with this, to remember that you may have chose it, not to not to like dismiss it, but like understand that you incarnate into family systems for evolution, for this type of boundary work, which is very, very hard. Forgiveness, self-worth, and karmic completion. It's extremely hard. I mean, it's like there's statistics and research on grieving an estranged family member because they're still alive. It's like a door is open. Versus if they were to actually pass away, it's a lot easier. This grief is no joke. No joke. So we don't need to like excuse or justify abuse, but understand that your soul's growth and spiritual awakening and consciousness awakening and evolution is key to why you're here. I want to go over some tips on like how we can move forward. Understand your archetypal energy. Are you a victim? Are you a chronic victim? Are you the envier? You always mad? Are you the fixer? But you can't fix you? Understand your archetypal energies, okay? So those ones are the ones that struggle the most with relationships. The victim, the envy, and the fixer. One of the things you have to understand, aside from your archetypal energies, is ego versus consciousness. We need to dissolve this type of conversation. I'm the parent. You owe me. I sacrificed everything for you. How dare they? That's ego. Fear, manipulation, and control. That's where you're coming from when you talk like that. So we evolve higher into conscious conversations saying, can I hear their pain? Can I hear their pain without collapsing? Can I soften my defense? Can I communicate without being reactive? Can I separate intent from impact? What families refuse to heal emotionally often becomes inherited energetically. Okay, we feel energy, we don't see it. We can't keep silencing people. You can't be avoidant. I hear it. Well, I got the picture on the TV stand, cry, and I look at them all the time. But you do nothing to work towards yourself, getting yourself prepared for a healthy relationship. You're not in any of them with your friends, and you're not aware of it. Sitting there feeling sorry because there's the picture. Your child's off doing great with their life. Why do you think that is? You don't accept them for who they are. You've pushed on them what you think's best and not what is best for them. They've grabbed the mic and you don't like their voice. You don't like who they are. You don't like what they do. So you're going to keep looking at their picture on your TV stand. And there's going to be no reconciliation until you get aside yourself. Get out the way. Love. Love. And it's different from standing disrespect. It's different from people that overstep boundaries. And it's different from people being abused. But often that's not the case. We use that as like, that's why, right? I don't talk because he's so disrespectful. She's so disrespectful. And I psychically look into all this and I'm like, that's not what happened at all. This is all they said was the truth. After 15 years of it, I'm sure they controlled their tone finally. I mean, it's you. So why do adult children leave? A lot of them leave to protect their mental health, their energetic space. Some are reacting like a genuine trauma response and isolating. Some are. You can't construe independence for isolation or independence from, you have to see it as boundary setting and that it's healthy. Okay, how are the boundaries in your relationships? It's also overwhelming to be in relationships with people that are emotionally immature or highly influenced by others. If you don't know yourself, you will be influenced by other people. You're a lot easier to manipulate. And social media, like I said at the beginning, has normalized cutting people off. They've completely normalized it. I have to be careful as a spiritual teacher not to normalize it and explain cord cutting, boundary setting in depth like I am in this video, because you don't just want to cut people off. You should give them chances. You really should. If you love, people are flawed. I mean, we're just so flawed as humans, like, but some people should be cut off. I'm going to make a video soon. Probably the next one is like why people ghost you, because you are not tolerable. The person's tried this time, that time, and the other, and it's like 1,000 times. And you just don't get it. You got to walk away. Understand that reconciliation is a skill. Okay? So when we lead, it's a skill. I had a mentor who said something like, I've always just tried to be that guide for my adult child. He has a successful careers, children have successful careers. And he said he's always tried to be that guide for them. Always tried to be that one to give a helping hand. Okay. His son in his 50s got a, really huge corporate job. Now he's gonna start paying the bill at that for when they go out to eat. Okay. Adult children. They don't need to be coddled, but they do need to be supported. This is what I see as an issue is like these older gens at like 18, they say, I'm done, I sign off. And it's a culture. And I'm like, what? We need you guys. I mean, I have so many older mentors in my life. I've had a lot to where I'm like, am I like, is this an issue? Like, it's that it's good to have counsel, and the older you get, the bigger you are with your life. You need legal counsel, you might need an assistant, you might need, accountant, financial counsel. I mean, we need counsel as humans. It's really good to be in community. And so the duty of the elders, the duty of the parents is to be that. And if you can't, you have to figure out how can you. Usually you're feeling disempowered deeply. Read more. Get around people that don't think like you so you can expand. How to begin healing and making amends. So this is going to give you guys hope from everything else I've already shared about therapy, the education, books, seeking mentors, the parents you never had. Whether you're in your 60s and you never had parents and you feel that deep wound, go get a mentor, even though you're in mentor elder state. Okay. Let's talk about some things that help reconciliation. Humility is a big one. Humbleness. Can you be humble? Emotional accountability, holding others accountable for their actions. Every time you see this person, is it a breakdown? Every time you see this person, are there tears? Every time you see this person, is it a fight? Name calling. I mean, you just can't get a grip. You need help. You need help. Emotional accountability helps reconciliation. Listening without defensiveness, respecting boundaries, therapy and coaching, patience, avoiding guilt and manipulation, because often if we can't get control, we'll just go and try to manipulate, okay? Huge when I read people. I'm like, you're manipulating to try to get ahead or control. And consistent changed behavior, as well as sincere apologies, which come with changed actions, okay? Understand the love language of your relationships. Some people's love languages is like giving hugs and love and physical love. Others, it's gift giving, and they just love to get gifts and receive gifts. Others, it's investments. Others, it's, foot rubs. I don't know. Whatever. I like to be invested into. If you can help my growth in any way, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, any way, I can get down with you. That's my love language. And I'm also a physical lover. So if I can hug you, love you, kiss you, touch you, I love you. It makes me feel good. If I can cook for you, if I can bake for you, clean for you, I just love you. But not everybody loves like that. So when you have people you care about, you know what their love language is, and you fulfill that. Okay? You give that need to them. And you don't pressure them to conform. You don't pressure them or shame them to be in certain environments that make them uncomfortable. You don't make them feel bad. They don't want to go to Christmas with MAGA? Have another Christmas. But they don't want to be around it. I can't get through. I hope I'm getting through to some people that need to hear this. It's like obvious to me. Have a separate Christmas. And you might find out that one's actually a little bit more authentic when JoJo shows up. More fun. Authenticity. Giving without needing in return. Boundaries, of course, you always need. Mutual respect, you always need, right? Unconditional love is something I think that we learn till the last of our days, and then we incarnate over and over and over again and still try to figure it out. It's so hard. It's something I personally pray about very often. I ask Spirit to help me to be more unconditional in my loving because I know I struggle with it. And I know I'm what you may call a tough cookie because strike 3, out. And for people I love, it's like strike 1,000, I'm gone. And in between all, strike 3 for the acquaintances or business partners and 1,000 for the friends, family, maybe 1,000,000 strikes, and I still love them. In between, and in today's world where it's like it breeds you to hate, it's something I pray very often. Spirit, help me to love more unconditionally. Help me to have more empathy. People that do harm on this planet have fallen from empathy. They've fallen from love. They don't feel for one another. Okay? Awakening is remembrance of the divine love within. Just came through. Stop provoking. People provoke and pry, and it's not emotionally intelligent. Stop begging, hoping, and as a prayer. Okay, so a lot of times we're praying and praying for this situation with family to make amends. We're begging God, hoping for God to change things. When in actuality, there needs to be a step that's taken for things to change. Okay, so you might have to do something about your inner work. You might need to read a book. You might need to go to therapy. You might need to change the way you're thinking about something in order for there to be a change instead of just begging God to change this person. Okay, begging for them to be reconciled with you when you need to do something for yourself. You need to do that inner work in order for things to change. And what does really powerful prayer look like? Well, a lot of it's intentional and it's visualized. So science would show that 18 to 21 seconds is that window that you want to hold your visualization. You want to hold the belief as if it's already done. So you're visualizing the reconciliation with your family, you and your loved ones at a family gathering again. There's peace. What does it look like? What does the food look like? What does it smell like when the peach cobbler's in the oven? The red velvet cake over there. Yum. I can taste it. I can feel it. I can smell it. The music at the gathering, the party, as if it is already done. That is prayer that the church doesn't teach. That is powerful prayer. That is energy manipulation. Because once you're holding that thought, that intention, that visualization, the universe by law will bring it to you. Okay, so start praying for that with your children. They're awakened like me. I'll start to interact with it. I interact with projections towards me energetically, thoughts and prayers. And if it's loving, I embrace it. So keep with that. And that's where we're evolving in a society as more awakened people. And we then begin to evolve together more quickly when you say, oh, mom's praying about me in a good way. And it's like, I add to it. see patterns and generational curses and transcend them. And one of the things I always try to remind people is of reincarnation for those that are just, they come into my office. And I have to remind them that I'm not a clinical therapist. Just let me give to you, don't tell. And it's theatrics and tears. And I'm like, I've been there over parent wounds. I have been there. But you have to do that work to heal that, okay? You have to get the help you need with therapy. Cord healing meditations, inner child healing, journaling, letters that were never sent, those are also really good. Nervous system regulation, a lot of people are imbalanced in the body, the endocrine system, nervous system. And it's like, how are you going to think straight? They're not. Okay, number one, they're not focused. They can't think straight, but yet they want relationship building. And they want everybody near them. You know, it's like inner work first. Radical self-reflection. Healing does not always mean immediate reconciliation. Sometimes it means becoming softer, wiser, more conscious, and no longer transmitting the pain. Self-awareness that I'm causing this pain. I need to do something about it. And the nervous system feels it. It doesn't trust words, it trusts consistency. And so healing can take a very long time. And I trust me when I say it to the adults out there that think that their kids don't love them anymore. They're watching. They're energetically watching and they're energetically waiting for emotional safety, for presence. They're waiting for you. They miss you. They love you and they want you in their lives. Just as bad, if not more, than you want them. And you should strive towards the direction of figuring out how to get that. And you should seek help if you need it. And that's where the elders come in. So there's no more elders, mentors, coaches. You need help. Because I think it's good because it holds people accountable. Someone else. You bring in your husband that your daughter doesn't respect. How is that going to work? Get a therapist. Get a coach. Oh, I'm bringing Bob by. He's not it either. He's not it either. He's part of the problem. Because you're wrapped up over here in Bob's. I'm just like, what the heck? We'll have, Sally Mae come over and help. Sally Mae is lost as all get out. The only thing that Sally Mae is good for is like the bake sale. She'll come through there, not for healing. Once we're into the next step of like we've reconciled, things have been pretty good. You gotta be mindful of boundaries and be grounded when you go into the, there's phases of reconciliation. You'll get to the better phase eventually, but while you're in the first few phases, don't overshare, don't overgive. You have to be vulnerable, but don't overdo it. Now, I hope this was helpful. And if you are estranged from your adult child, don't lose hope. Okay? Human consciousness can evolve. The heart can open. And for the human heart, for even like a very strong man, it can take a trauma, a death, the birth of a new baby. The heart can be cracked right open. And often with people that are doing harm, I'm not there yet. But I know some spiritual teachers will say this, because I'm not there, but I will preach it. I'll be honest, I'm not there. If you can give love to someone that is doing harm, that's how you can crack their heart open too. Healing begins when you stop trying to win, when you stop trying to say, I'm right, you're wrong. And you start to understand where people are coming from. You hear them instead of dismissing them. You show up instead of avoiding. And the greatest spiritual maturity is not perfection. It's a willingness to become conscious. I send you guys love and healing, and to anyone that's feeling alone right now, I send healing prayers to you and pray for the reconciliation between you and a family member, you and a parent, you and a child, you and someone that you love. Okay? Namaste.